Hello, folks. Brandon Chapman with you today. It's another Monday video for TheoTrade. It's November 3rd. Market's set to close in less than 10 minutes. What's your bet on what's going to happen this week? And we have the expected move for the market, which, again, we're looking at about a little over 100 points in either direction, that being the one standard deviation range. What's your thoughts? Do you think we're going to move greater than that or less than that? At the end of the day, again, we're talking about the idea that the market may be in a position as we look at technology falling back a little bit, gold nearing the top of the list, cyclicals in there. We're really at a point where everyone's guessing where the market's about to head, and nobody really has a lot of surety. We saw the government still closed. We have potential SNAP benefits, all this stuff kind of swirling around, but all that doesn't necessarily matter on a day like today. Why? What are we looking at? So I'm going to show you, because when I talk to people or when I present at TheoTrade, I always ask them, what's on your bingo card today? When you see 100,000 contracts traded on a specific option, what are you going to do about that, right? How are you going to react to something like that, regardless of what's happening in the broader market? But if that's not a problem for you, the reality is it should be, because you should be seeing this stuff and you should have a choice before the move actually happens to be able to make a decision. Is it something you want to trade? This is what we do every day in Ghost Prints. So let me just share something with you right now. So I'm going to bring up the Ghost Prints surveillance console. And so I'm going to clear this out just so you can kind of get a fresh look. 1,500 prints. These are pre-screened, bought and sold. We're only focused on the stuff that's bought. We're going to include stuff that's sold just because, right? Because we want to analyze spread trades like we see here. But I'm going to click on our one-click block trade button. That brings up the biggest and the best of the day. And today, topping the list is Grab Holdings. Grab Holdings, kind of a delivery service, financial product in Asia, for example. 103,000 contracts. Well, what's special about today? You look at 50,000 contracts there, likely in one print, filled at the ask or above the ask for the 6/50/11 November 21st expiration. Well, what's special about today? Why are we seeing this sudden surge to want to buy call options on Grab? Well, this is where it gets interesting, right? And this is where, for most people that aren't looking, you never see this stuff. It's going on behind the scenes. It's structural. It has the potential to move the stock significantly. And you'll notice today what's going on. We have earnings after the close today. Expectation for 3 cents, November 3rd, after the market central time. The fact of the matter is there's a significant amount of trade happening at the 6:50 calls for November 21st on Grab. And what happens is if we see a significant amount of residual open interest, and if we come in here, you look at the 21, you'll see 103,000 contracts right there against 6,000 open interest. Well, I would expect with some big prints, and there's missing time and sales here in Thinkorswim. But if we were looking to see what exactly is in here at the time, you'll see, 25,000 contracts were bought in one trade. Well, who buys 25,000 contracts at the ask price in one trade? These are not retail traders that are making these decisions, right? They're making these trades. Now, retail might co-opt it. I sent out an alert today for our Ghost Prints members. We're taking a lotto trade in this option here. We got it for around 24 cents. But the idea is that, look, we're looking for a big move. And my guess, given the big blocks of trade that have gone on today, a lot of this is going to translate to open interest tomorrow. What this creates is something structural. Well, what do I mean by structural? Well, if there's a lot of call options being bought at 650, well, what does that mean? Someone bought 25,000 contracts in one trade. Who sold it to them? Well, it's unlikely you're going to have 25,000 people, 25,000 contracts ready to sell, right? More than likely, it's the market maker taking the other side of a lot of that interest. And as a function, they're selling calls at 650. They have to buy stock to hedge. And the more this price can go up, so if we push towards 650 or through 650, I call that to and through. This creates a significant potential move in Grab to the upside. Well, how big? Well, everything kind of depends on, that we seeing 100,000, how much of that translates until open interest tomorrow. Maybe it's 75,000, but you can kind of guess the amount of delta. So if we go to 650, that delta now becomes 50 instead of what is it right now? It's at a 39. Well, this is a very short dated option. So what happens if we go in the money by a buck? Now all of a sudden we're starting to push towards 78 or 1. basically forcing a lot of hedging on the part of market maker. This is what we call a gamma squeeze. Now, is there some short interest in grab holding? I'm sure there is. But the point is just that, look, I mean, this creates a significant scenario that could really drive the price. I'm just looking over the side here. It's only about 5.5% short interest, which is moderately high because this is a very high float stock at 2.6 billion. And the number of days that covers 3.2. So we have moderately high short interest. And you can see this reflected, by the way, in our squeeze bar. All right. So you'll see there's two bars here. If we had a short ratio of 5, we'd probably push it into the 3 range. But there's a moderate level of short interest that can create a short squeeze. There's definite potential for significant gamma squeeze. That's caused by the market maker having to hedge by buying stock. This is caused by shorts getting squeezed and forcing them to cover. Well, again, there's still about shares short right now, about 187 million shares short. So again, there is potential here for a big squeeze to the upside. And have we seen that in the past? Well, I mean, look back here, for example, right? We've gone from 360 up to 550 in a matter of weeks, but this is an earnings announcement. So where we need the stock to go is north of 650. And if we get a push towards 650 or through 650, could we get a stock going to 750? Sure, right? In a matter of days, maybe in one day. So the idea is that we're looking at these kinds of opportunities and we're able to see them every single day by using the Ghost Print Surveillance Console. This stuff just rises to the top here because these are huge block trades that are occurring in a stock just before earnings. As you filter down, there's other stuff going on here too that you can isolate and be able to see. Buying puts in Google, for example. Is that a big one? Scaling up to 20,000 contracts. AMD, though, is another stock that has earnings coming up here in a day. So if we look at our AMD, they're buying the 230 puts, about 19,000 contracts, scaling up at 11,000 on about 10,000 in one print. We also get 240 puts being bought here. So here's two stocks right before earnings. Grab and AMD. Grab's a more significant example, but AMD may still be very significant in that this is coming up tomorrow after the close. So grabs today, if you don't grab it before the close today, you don't have a chance to trade it. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. AMD is another one here, 240, 230. What's the expected move on AMD? Well, it's about $15. Well, look, we're currently 260. A $15 move gets you to 245. We start to push through the expected move. We could find ourselves back down here at 226. But at least this gives you kind of a direction, a target, a time frame, and a symbol, in this case, AMD and Grab. So these are two significant prints that are happening today just beneath the surface. Did you know about them? Again, it's one thing to know how to trade them, but the reality is most people are flying blind in this respect. They don't see the prints. They don't see the 100 contracts. They don't see the 12 and 11,000 contracts bought on the downside on AMD just ahead of the earnings tomorrow after the close. And you fly blind. You look at the charts. You're making decisions based on what happened in the past, not what's prospectively about to happen just beneath the surface because of these sizable option trades. My goal every day is to say, hey, find 10 prints, set up 2 to 3 trades, and take 2 to 3 trades a week. Okay, this makes it easy. 36 prints. Okay, I'll go through the 36, see if I can find 10 that are reasonably good and find 2 to 3 trades that might be compelling. AMD before the earnings, Grab before the earnings are two that are out there right now. Another one, BAC. So Bank of America, it's not on the big prints list here, but it is just at another level. Looking at what? I gotta reset the filters. Look at BAC here. So again, I started off the day with my vol alert at 2,500 and my volume to OI ratio at 1.2. And this brought up these two prints on the 5150 puts and the 52 puts. Buying around 4,800, mostly bought 5,000 contracts. Again, this is size coming in as BAC is testing its resistance. Now we're going to finish near the high of the session today. But again, you could look at a trade looking for downside movement somewhere in this range over the course of the next 3 weeks or a month in BAC. So again, you don't have to see an immediate move, but if we get a move, if we push towards the lows, this gets you a chance to get out at 70% gain. So the idea is we're seeing this stuff kind of occurring in the periphery, and most people aren't even looking at it. But now you see it and you can't unsee it. But anyway, just want to share a few of these with you today. Some of these big prints that are, again, 2 of them ahead of earnings, maybe hedges, doesn't matter. We start to get 2 and 3 of those levels. It's going to create movement. It's structural. Well, folks, we'll catch you back in next week's video. You have a great one. Thank you.